Phil Mickelson said professional golf was in a disruption phase and that the sport would come out of it brighter. In the same week that statement resurfaced, LIV Golf was defending 2 lawsuits over unpaid invoices, sheriffs were serving subpoenas on banks in New York, and some of the league's own players had still not been paid for the previous tournament. The post that started this round of attention was published on Friday, August 21st, 2026. Sports Illustrated writer Andy Nesbitt compiled a list ranking the 10 saddest moments across LIV Golf's 4-year history. One of the entries was a message written by Phil Mickelson nearly 3 years earlier. The list resurfaced in exchange from October 2023 between Phil Mickelson and Masters champion Trevor Immelman. The subject was LIV Golf's long-stalled pursuit of official world golf ranking points. Phil Mickelson entered the thread and argued that the league would never receive those points, pointing to monopoly rules, television contract obligations, and negotiating leverage. When a critic told him to stop whining, he escalated. His reply, posted on October 12, 2023, read, "Stating facts isn't whining, and I don't care if LIV ever gets points. This is move 6 in a long game of chess." He continued, "You won't believe moves 32-37. That's when it gets really good." He capped the reply with a sunglasses emoji. 3 years later, Andy Nesbitt assessed the post against the league's current position. Mickelson has had a lot of bad tweets over the years, but this one from 2023 in which he bragged about LIV Golf's strategy for the long game is quite laughable considering where the league stands right now, he wrote for Sports Illustrated. He added, "Turns out it never gets really good for LIV Golf." The post appears alongside other entries on the same list. One is Bryson DeChambeau's viral tumble over a rope at LIV Golf Chicago in 2022. Another also belongs to Phil Mickelson, his first round at LIV Golf Hong Kong in 2024 when he opened with a last-place 80 that included 3 double bogeys, 4 bogeys, and 0 birdies. To understand the distance between the prediction and the outcome, it helps to look at what Phil Mickelson was saying in public at the time. On April 3, 2024, Brody Miller of The Athletic reported from Trump National Doral in Miami where LIV Golf was holding a tournament. Phil Mickelson, then 53 and a 6-time major champion, spoke to reporters on the Wednesday before play began. "Right now, we are in the disruption phase," Phil Mickelson said, "so we are in the middle of the process, and when it's all said and done, it's going to be a lot brighter." He clarified that he did not know how the situation would resolve, and he said he placed his trust in Public Investment Fund Chairman Yasir Al-Rumayyan. He maintained that the sport was moving toward a more global game that would create additional opportunities for players, manufacturers, and course designers. Asked to elaborate on the phases and moves he had referred to, he responded, "So I knew the first 2 years were going to be interesting." He also pointed to the number of new positions the league had created. "I just know that in the end it's going to be a more global sport and there's going to be more opportunities. We already have more playing opportunities for players. That's 54 more job opportunities that we didn't have before, and they are on a more global scale." He compared golf to sports such as the National Football League, where large audiences follow the sport without playing it, and said LIV Golf was appealing to younger audiences. The following month, Phil Mickelson posted a warning to the 4 major championships and then removed it. Alex Myers of Golf Digest reported on May 6, 2024, that during a tie for 22nd place at the LIV Golf Singapore event, Phil Mickelson responded to a message about the shortage of LIV Golf players in major championship fields. "Maybe some LIV players won't be missed," Phil Mickelson wrote in the now-deleted post. But what if none of the LIV players played? Would they be missed? What about next year when more great players join? Or the following year? At some point, they will care and will have to answer to sponsors and television. The ranking points he had discussed never arrived. In March 2024, LIV Golf abandoned its bid for official world golf ranking points entirely. The financial position changed decisively in April 2026. Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund announced that it would stop funding LIV Golf at the end of the 2026 season. Yasir Al-Rumayyan, the fund's governor, the architect of LIV Golf, and then chairman of the league's board, stepped down at the same time. The fund had unveiled its strategy for 2026 through 2030, signaling a shift toward domestic priorities as the kingdom addressed commitments tied to World Expo 2030 and the 2034 FIFA World Cup. LIV Golf was absent from the stated plans. The war with Iran added further pressure, with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz cutting Saudi oil exports nearly in half. By that point, the fund was believed to have invested between $6 billion and $8 billion into the league. Since the withdrawal, LIV Golf Chief Executive Officer Scott O'Neill has sought between $250 million and $350 million to sustain operations, telling prospective investors that the league could become profitable within 3 years. On August 5, 2026, at Trump National Bedminster, Scott O'Neill confirmed that a lead investor had been secured. The identity of the party and the amount contributed were not part of the announcement. LIV Golf has an agreement in place with a lead investor, signed by the investor and approved by the board, to anchor the transaction and play a key role in supporting the path forward for the league's next era, driven by and for the players, Scott O'Neill said in a statement. He added, "We're also seeing strong interest from more than a dozen additional parties to potentially serve as minority investors, creating a multi-partner model built for long-term stability and growth." Subsequent reporting identified Ted Goldthorpe of BC Partners as the investor in question. LIV Golf and BC Partners have reportedly agreed to a term sheet, but the transaction has not closed. Ted Goldthorpe spoke with players during the week of the Indianapolis event, and the reaction among players was mixed. Significant questions remain about the arrangement, including whether the financing is actually a loan, whether it depends on additional investors joining, and whether it is contingent upon a certain number of players remaining under contract. The restructured league has been described as LIV 2.0. Under the plan, the schedule drops from 14 tournaments to 10, with 5 in the United States and 5 held internationally. Players will become majority equity holders in the league, described as a first for a major global sports league. Players will also be permitted to compete on other tours while regaining commercial rights to their name. Image and likeness. Current purses of $30 million are set to drop. On Monday, August 17, 2026, LIV Golf canceled the $40 million team championship that had been scheduled for the following week in Michigan at the Cardinal at St. John's. That decision made LIV Golf Indianapolis the final tournament of the season. Tickets for the Michigan event had been sold on the league's website as recently as the previous week. Planned concerts were also pulled. By concluding the season now, we can put our full resources behind what comes next and maintain the operational rigor this transition demands, Scott O'Neill said in a press release dated August 17. He continued, "We are reimagining LIV Golf as a fundamentally new league owned by the players and anchored in a sustainable business model with an evolved fan experience built for the markets where the game is growing fastest across the globe and the support of world-class partners." The prize money was reduced sharply. LIV Golf Bedminster had offered a $20 million individual purse with $4 million to the winner. At the club at Chatham Hills in Westfield, Indiana, players competed for $10.1 million, with the champion receiving $2 million. Josh Carpenter of Sports Business Journal reported that as of Monday night, some LIV Golf players had still not been paid for the Bedminster event, which concluded on August 9. Players are typically paid on the Tuesday or Wednesday following a tournament. The delay prompted speculation about whether some players would skip the Indianapolis event. LIV Golf did not comment on the report. The field of 57 players competed across 4 days to settle the individual season title, the Indianapolis Championship, and the team standings. Fresh Tape Media filed a complaint in the Supreme Court of the state of New York on July 21, seeking more than $23 million in missed payments and interest. The lawsuit was first reported by David Rumsey for Front Office Sports on August 18, 2026, in a story titled LIV Golf Sued for $1.2M by Company That Produced Preseason Event. Due to the nature of the lawsuit, LIV was only formally notified of the complaint on Monday, the same day it officially announced the cancellation of its $40 million team championship that was scheduled for next week in Michigan, David Rumsey wrote. He added, "It's the latest company to go public with claims of missed payments from LIV, as various vendors and contractors have told Front Office Sports they are also owed money by the league." The dispute centers on LIV Golf Week 2026, held in West Palm Beach, Florida from January 12 to 14. More than 50 players from all 13 teams attended. Fresh Tape Media managed logistics and on-site production, handling venue booking, catering and transportation, filming promotional content, and conducting interviews with external media. The company transferred more than 50,000 images and videos to LIV Golf, some of which still appear across the league's social, television, and digital platforms. The company is based in Denver and has roughly 20 full-time employees. It employed 115 total workers that week, including contractors, all of whom have been paid. According to the suit, LIV Golf did not pay 8 invoices that were due between January 22 and March 22. They ranged in value from $74,470 to $231,137.40 before interest accrued. The filing states that LIV Golf never disputed any of the invoices and repeatedly promised that payment was approved or would be forthcoming. On May 8, LIV Golf offered a settlement of $200,000. This proposal is made in good faith and is intended to balance LIV Golf's current financial constraints with a clear, structured, and certain payment timetable, LIV Golf legal manager Jake Cutter wrote in an email cited in the lawsuit. On June 18, that offer dropped to $150,000. Fresh Tape Media Chief Executive Officer Jared Kleinstein described the relationship before the dispute. "We had no semblance we're not going to get paid," he said. "Feedback was great. We loved working with the LIV team and respected and trusted them. We were already starting to plan for 2027. LI.V Golf had paid all invoices throughout 2025 and the first half of 2026, including a payment of roughly $70,000 in April, 3 months after the media event took place. Fresh Tape Media had also operated a smaller-scale preseason event for the league in 2025 and was paid in full for that work." "It's not crazy for clients to be late on payments," Jared Kleinstein said. "For a long time, it just felt like another client who was late. And they did pay the first half of this year. But once the PIF news started coming out, we started to think, wait, this isn't just another client who isn't paying us. Something is happening." Publicly, Jared Kleinstein framed the matter simply, writing, "It's pretty simple. When a small business does the work, it deserves to be paid for it." He also explained the reasoning behind the filing. "This is not a malicious lawsuit. It's not even self-defense. This is the furthest thing from a publicity stunt. It's the next practical measure in lieu of waiting for bankruptcy." He added, "I have no malice towards Scott O'Neill or the league. Every single human I've worked with there has great things to say about Scott." Fresh Tape Media applied for an ex parte emergency order when it filed the claim on July 21, meaning LIV Golf would not be immediately notified. Judge Brendan Lantry granted the order on July 30. "We've demonstrated to the court that we have a valid claim that there is a strong chance that the defendants do not have the ability to pay it or are dissipating assets, and therefore we're entitled to this release," said Larry Hutcher, one of the attorneys representing Fresh Tape Media. As part of the proceedings, the company is seeking to have some of LIV Golf's assets frozen. Sheriffs began serving subpoenas on August 7 to between 10 and 12 banks in New York that work with the league. Responses remained outstanding, and Larry Hutcher said the league's legal team had not responded to the order as of Monday evening. The case is not isolated. Moby Systems Group Limited, a technology company that supplied LIV Golf's Any Shot, Anytime broadcast feature, sued the league last month for more than $1.1 million over breach of contract, unpaid invoices, and interest. Several current and former contractors have reported being owed amounts ranging from a few $1,000s to nearly $100,000 each. Scott O'Neill addressed the lawsuits at his press conference in Indianapolis on Wednesday. "Look, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, a family of small business entrepreneurs, and know the challenge that is," he said. "So what I would say to them is we're doing everything we can do right by them and the work they committed, and I hope we can. For the next generation, it will certainly be a different business with a different process. On the possibility of bankruptcy, he was direct. I don't think we would rule out any option, Scott O'Neill said. The whole focus is on transaction. We're spending all our time thinking about how we best land this plane and have it landed so we can take off again. All our focus is in that direction. He also defended the league's operational performance. My confidence level is high because the facts are good. So, when the facts are good, it usually leads to a good outcome, he said. When you see ticket numbers, we'll have 2 fewer events this year and still set an all-time attendance record. Phil Mickelson, now 56, has played exactly 1 LIV Golf event in 2026, a tie for 48th place at LIV Golf South Africa in March. He withdrew from the season opening events. He pulled out of the Masters in April, skipped the PGA Championship, was not extended a special invitation to the United States Open, and missed the Open Championship. It is the first time in his professional career that he has sat out all 4 majors. He and his representatives have repeatedly described the reason as a family health matter, according to reporting by Golf Digest. His absence has extended through the season. Teammates on his High Flyers GC squad have relied on replacement Scott Vincent. Brendan Steele has said the group still wants Phil Mickelson back, but has few details on when he might return to competition. Separately, Joel Bill and Todd Leonard of Golf Digest reported on June 11 that Phil Mickelson had been accused of inappropriate contact with a female employee at the Farms Golf Club, located outside San Diego. It was his former club, and he is no longer a member there. All members are required to adhere to our code of conduct, and any allegations of misconduct are taken seriously. The club said in a statement to Golf Digest. It continued, following a staff member report of member misconduct, the club provided immediate and ongoing support to the staff member, conducted a thorough independent investigation of the incident, and took decisive action. This individual is no longer a member of the Farms Golf Club. The statement added that the club conducts thorough reviews of all reported matters according to California law. Phil Mickelson has not addressed LIV Golf's financial unraveling in any public comments located in current reporting. Beyond the vendor disputes, LIV Golf is defending a lawsuit from the rival Premier Golf League, which alleges breach of confidence and conspiracy to use unlawful means. Agents for several LIV Golf players have contacted the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour in recent months about pathways back, a process that accelerates if bankruptcy frees players from their contracts. Reporting this month indicated that league officials are resigned to Jon Rahm departing at the end of the year. Scott O'Neill closed his remarks with a defense of the league's prospects. "We have work to do," he said. "There are hurdles we have to jump over. It's a very complex transaction we'll have to deliver. But man, I wouldn't bet against us." He also framed the season's end in broader terms. "As we enter this final event for 2026, I spent a lot of time thinking about where LIV has been and much more time thinking about where LIV Golf is going," he said. "It certainly was disruptive and at times divisive, and there's no question that several years have been challenging for the game of golf. But I believe we're at a really special inflection point. Whether the tournament in Indianapolis marks the actual end of LIV Golf or simply the last stop of a shrinking chapter remains unresolved." Phil Mickelson predicted that moves 32 through 37 would be the ones nobody saw coming. When the league reached what may be its final competitive round, Phil Mickelson, once its most visible recruiter, was not in the field to see them played out.